I built a $20 million brand and just sold it for millions. July 1st, 2025, I am sitting on a call with my lawyer, signing the final paperwork to sell my skincare brand for millions of dollars. Just 4 years earlier, I was $30,000 in debt. I was living with my parents and I was seriously considering quitting entrepreneurship altogether. But here's the crazy part. The brand I had just exited for life-changing money had completely died. Revenue had tanked from $200,000 per month down to $12,000 in sales per month. And I was literally staring at bankruptcy. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Gustavo Alcalde, and for the past 5 years, I've built multiple 7 and even 8-figure e-commerce brands. But this story isn't about some overnight success bullshit. This is about the real journey, the failures, the debt, and the nights I thought I was gonna lose everything. And if you're someone who's struggling with your e-commerce business right now or looking to exit, this story is gonna give you clarity on what actually makes dropshipping work. These are not the surface level tactics that everyone is teaching, but the real fundamentals that separate a dropshipping product from a real sellable brand. This video is gonna show you exactly what separates a product hustle from a real brand. You'll learn how I went from in debt to a multi-millionaire by focusing on 3 things: picking the right product, crafting the right offer, building real systems that make the brand sellable. So let's get into it. Chapter 1, the beginning. Let me take you back to 2019. I was a broke college student. I was trying everything to make money, day trading. I even did some coding projects, whatever I could find. So I was lost. I had no income and I had no plan. Then one day my dad mentioned Amazon FBA to me. He even offered to buy me a course if I was serious about it. And so while I was researching Amazon FBA, I stumbled across a YouTuber's channel named Bia Heza. And at the time, Bia Heza was this 16-year-old guy that was chasing his dreams and making them a reality. So I saw that he was making a lot of money and I immediately ran to my dad and I told him, hey, there's a 16-year-old guy that's making money off dropshipping, and if he can do it, then I can do it too. So he bought me Bia Heza's $300 course, and that's where everything really started. From that moment on, I locked in, and I'm talking 12-hour plus days, studying, testing, researching, learning. And 2 weeks later, I launched my first store selling electric dog nail trimmers. And if you didn't guess it, I made $0. But I wasn't discouraged because I knew I was onto something, and I know that Bia Heza had done it. So I kept grinding and testing new products. Then in May 2020, lightning finally struck. Chapter 2, the rise and fall. So it's May 2020, and I finally found my first winning product, an electric neck massager. And I was selling it for $50, and it was starting to scale a little bit. And I couldn't believe it because sales were actually rolling in, and I thought I had finally cracked the code. But the high didn't last. Actually, a big YouTuber comes in, he makes a video about that exact product being a trending product. Literally overnight, the next day, CPMs doubled and competition just floods the market. So that product dies out. But I didn't quit. I pivoted and started testing a lot more products. June 2020, I found my first real winning product. And it was a unique makeup brush that I called the Flawless Brush. I knew it was unique because people weren't selling at any retail store. So at the time, I only had about $1,000 left to my name. So instead of testing with ads, I sent it to a few beauty influencers to see what would happen. And they finally posted and 0 sales. Crickets. And then a week goes by and I'm sitting on my computer working on finding new products to test. And then I hear the Shopify ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. The notifications were literally going off nonstop. Checked the dashboard and to my surprise, it was the Flawless Brush that was getting a lot of sales. But I had no ads running. So I was like very confused. I don't know where the sales are coming from. So I start looking back at these influencers pages and it turns out one of the influencers, Michaela Nagura, had posted a video and it went viral. Even BuzzFeed picked it up. At the time, BuzzFeed was massive and the floodgates open. And by the end of the day, I had made $8,000. But what I didn't know was that this success was about to teach me the most brutal lesson of viral product. Chapter 3, the crash. I scaled that makeup brush as hard as I could. I hired creators for UGC. I launched hundreds of ads. I even bought custom inventory. And it worked beautifully for a few months. But here's what nobody tells you about your viral products. They're like shooting stars. They burn bright and then they crash hard. After 6 months of running this product, things started falling apart. Being the overconfident 20-year-old I was, I made every single mistake in the book. I used all my profits to buy a small warehouse that I put next to my parents' house, spent $20,000 on custom inventory, and had it shipped directly to my doorstep. And my family and I personally packaged every single order. But then my Facebook reviews started coming in and they weren't good. My customers were very disappointed. The product wasn't living up to the hype my ads were creating. Customers were pissed, and rightfully so, because the product wasn't doing what I promised it would do. And by May 20 2021, Facebook banned my account due to poor feedback. I tried to work around it by creating a new Facebook page for the brand, which ended up getting my personal page permanently banned on Facebook for trying to circumvent policies. So I was stuck with $20,000 in branded inventory. I had growing credit card debt and no way to advertise my product. I was officially broke and deeper in debt than when I started. So I did the only thing I knew how to do, and it was get back to work. Chapter 4, the birth of a real brand. So I immediately went back to product testing like a maniac because I knew I could not go broke again. But this time I made a decision that changed everything. I decided that I was done chasing random products and I was gonna pick something that I actually cared about, something I could build a real brand around. And that led me to the beauty and skincare niche. And let me tell you, studying beauty and skincare as a dude was interesting, but I dove deep. I learned about ingredients, skin types, makeup tools, different beauty concerns. I became obsessed, and I could have easily become the next James Charles with the knowledge I had gained. But nevertheless, this is when the brand that I would eventually sell for millions was born. In June 2021, after heavy research, I carefully picked and launched my first skincare product, and it took off. This time I was smarter. I remembered the brutal lessons I learned from the makeup brush. Do not overpromise results and underdeliver on the product. So I focused on truth in advertising and building a genuinely good product. So from June 2021 to December 2021, revenue was incredible, and I thought I had finally figured it out. And I was honestly making more money than I had ever seen in my life. As always, reality hits me like a freight train. Chapter 5, the near-death experience. So after 6 months, just like every dropshipping winning product, my product eventually started declining. And when I say declining, I mean it literally fell off a cliff. What people don't realize is the first 6 to 8 months of a winning product feel like free money. There's low competition, low ad costs, everything just works. But the hype always fades. And when the hype dies down, if your foundation isn't solid, everything is gonna crumble down. So my store dropped from $200,000 per month down to $12,000 in revenue per month by July 2022. And I was terrified because I had calculated everything, my credit card debt, my bank balance, and I realized that I was $30,000 in debt. Again, I was deeper in debt than when I had started this entire journey. So in this scared frenzy, I started throwing everything at the wall. New ad angles, I hired a bunch of UGC creators. I literally launched hundreds of ads, but nothing worked. This time I was so scared about that debt that I was going to get a job to help pay off the $30,000 debt I was in. And then something big happened. One day I saw a YouTube video with a Surfshark VPN sponsorship on it. For some reason in that moment, it had finally clicked in my head. Surfshark wasn't a giant company because they had great ads. It was giant because they had a great offer. And that moment changed my whole viewpoint on marketing. I realized that the problem wasn't my ads, it was my offer. Chapter 6, the breakthrough. So for the next 3 weeks, I tested offer after offer, dozens of offers. I tested bundles, I tested discounts, tested BOGOs, I tried everything. And then finally one offer hit. And when I say hit, I mean it absolutely destroyed my previous results. It tripled my conversion rate overnight. And from that, the product was revived and I started scaling again. And I used every single dollar of profits to order branded inventory. I made a commitment to myself that I wasn't just selling products anymore. I was going to build a real brand. And that decision changed my life. But what most people don't realize is that there's a massive difference between selling products and building a brand. Which is so significant that it literally determines whether you're gonna max out at $100,000 per year or go on to build something that's worth millions of dollars. So I'm gonna show you exactly what that difference is because it's the most important thing you'll learn in e-commerce. Chapter 7, the transformation. So from that moment on, everything changed. I stopped thinking like a product seller and started thinking like a brand builder. And I focused entirely on building something long-term. I stopped focusing on making money on the first sale and started focusing on brand loyalty and lifetime value of a customer. For example, instead of cheap packaging, I invested into a premium unboxing experience. And instead of generic product descriptions, I crafted brand stories. And instead of one-time customers, I built a community. I grinded for the next 4 years with that mindset. And the results speak for themselves. And as of July 1st, 2025, I sold that brand for millions. The same one that had gone pretty much to $0 per month. But the exit didn't happen by accident. It was the result of a very intentional strategy. Chapter 8. The exit strategy. You see, here's what most people don't understand about building a sellable brand. You can't just stumble into a multi-million-dollar exit. You have to be intentional about it from day one. And there are specific milestones you need to hit if you want buyers to take you seriously. When it comes to selling your brand, buyers don't just care about numbers. They care about consistency. They want to see that your business has been built to last. That means at least 3+ years of consistent growth, clean operations, and proof that this isn't some temporary hustle. The longer you've been building and refining your brand, the more confident an investor will feel. But even more important is that you can't be the business. If you're still the one running ads, managing customer service, and writing ad scripts, you're not selling a brand. You're selling a job. Nobody wants to buy a job. You need systems and teams in place where you, the founder, are mostly hands off. That's what makes a brand actually attractive to purchase. But what really made my brand stand out was that it wasn't just a product, it was a brand. And that showed up in the data. And what I mean by that was at the time of sale, my brand had a 55% returning customer rate month over month. Think about that. For example, let's say you're doing $500,000 in monthly revenue with over half of your customers coming back to buy again and again. And that kind of retention proves something that most dropshippers miss entirely. And that's defensibility. It tells buyers that you're not just competing on price and you're not just competing on who's got the better ad angle. You've built something that people are loyal to, a product that they can't live without, and a brand that they trust. If someone could just go buy your product on AliExpress or find a dupe on Amazon, the brand won't hold long-term value. But when you have a unique position in the market and a product that customers are obsessed with, that's when your brand becomes a machine worth buying. Chapter 9, the lessons that changed everything. Looking back at this entire journey, there are 5 key lessons that made the difference between failure and a multi-million-dollar exit. Lesson 1, stop chasing products and start building brands. Most dropshippers are looking for the next winning product, and that's backwards. You need to find a competitive niche that you can carve a fan base in and build a brand that customers actually care about. Lesson 2, truth in advertising is everything. The makeup brush failed because I overpromised and underdelivered. The skincare brand succeeded and had a loyal fan base because I focused on delivering exactly what I was advertising, and I continue to improve my product over time. Always remember that your reputation is your most valuable asset. Lesson 3, the offer is more important than the ad. I spent months trying to fix my ads when my store was dying, and the breakthrough came when I fixed my offer. A great offer can save a mediocre ad, but a great ad can't save a mediocre offer. Lesson 4, focus on lifetime value, not first sale. The moment I stopped focusing on just getting first-time buyers, started building customer loyalty, that 55% returning customer rate didn't happen by accident. It was a result of obsessing over customer experience. Lesson 5, build systems, not dependencies. You can't sell a business that depends on you. So from day one, start thinking about the systems you're building and how you're going to delegate every aspect of the business and build that team over time. Now, if you're watching this and you're struggling with your e-commerce business, you need to understand that it's not going to be easy. I was broke, I was in debt, and ready to quit multiple times. But if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to focus on building something real instead of chasing quick money, and if you're willing to learn from your failures instead of running away from them, you can build something incredible. The difference between a product hustle and a real brand isn't talent and it isn't luck. It's commitment to doing things the right way, even when the results aren't immediate. That's what turned a $30,000 debt into a multi-million-dollar exit. If you want to learn more about the specific strategies I use to build this brand, product research methods, the offer strategies, the creative frameworks, I break all of that down in my other videos on the channel, so subscribe if you want to. I just want you to know that I didn't make this video to flex on you. I made it because I know there's someone out there struggling, thinking about giving up. And I want you to know that you shouldn't feel stupid when you fail. And also just fuck anyone who ever doubts you. Just dream big and don't stop until it's real. Now go build something that actually matters.